Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I am doing a book review of We Meant Well by Aram Shazia Hassan. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. This is a contemporary fiction from ECW Press from 2023. I think it came out April 11th. So it just came out. I received this book from the publisher in exchange for a fair review. And let me tell you, this book is powerful and poignant and absolutely unputdownable. Now, I don't review a ton of contemporary novels, the odd one here or there. That's not to say I'm not up on or interested in contemporary issues. I just tend to get my kind of contempt fix from podcasts or nonfiction audiobooks, which I don't review generally because I'm like, I don't know how I would review this. I just say, I think this person brought up good points. I don't know. But this one sounded so interesting and right up my alley, so I was like, sure, I'll totally review it. And it was. A harrowing and immersive novel about culture and harm, We Meant Well is a forthright examination of not only the aftermath of colonialism, but what it means to try and help when help is not really wanted. What is it about? It's the middle of the night in Los Angeles when Maya, a married mother of one, receives the phone call. Her colleague Mark has been accused of assaulting a local girl in Lacani, where they operate a charitable orphanage. Can she get on the next flight? When Maya arrives, protesters surround the compound. The accuser is Lily, her former protege and the chief's daughter. There are no witnesses, no proof of any crime. What happened that night? And what will happen to the orphanage if this becomes a scandal? Caught between Mark and Lily, the charity and the villagers, and between worlds, Maya lives the secret contradictions of the aid worker. They are to serve the most deprived, but ultimately they are to govern. As Maya feels the pleasures, freedoms, and humanity of life in Lacani, she recognizes that her American life is inextricably woven into this violent reality, and that dishonesty in one place affects the realities in another. Yes, heavy, and very important. So, yes, to start, there are mentions of sexualized violence in this novel, but though it is a subject that I try to avoid, in this context it's handled in a way that is respectful to survivors. While it is part of the plot, it is not included for shock value purposes or to characterize a character. It's something that, unfortunately, does happen in the world, and thus it is an important topic that was handled in a way that was not intended to be titillating like those true crime stories you see on TV. This is meant to be a novel about the impacts of sexualized violence, and especially racialized sexualized violence, or at least sexualized violence in the realm of power dynamics. It's very complex. This also is not a novel you pick up for a light read. I knew what I was getting into when I started reading it. And while distressing, the novel isn't disturbing in the sense of like graphic. If you're interested in it but wary of the content, while I found it sad and frustrating, I wasn't triggered by it, if that helps. It's not like it's you're not gonna read something that's gonna stick in your mind forever in the sense of like graphicness, I guess. Where to start with this book? The most interesting thing about the novel is how it handles the black versus white race issue, as that is where a lot of the issues in the novel stem from, by making the main character of Bangladesh descent who was adopted as a child into the United States by white parents. This way, she is, in a sense, removed from the colonialist history of the fictional, once French-occupied country of Lacani. This allows her to exist as almost a bridge between the two peoples, but also stand apart. It was a very clever way of dealing with the issues at hand. In the same way, Maya is also standing between two worlds. She loves her work, but also yearns for her normal life back in the U.S. The story is as much about her life, working as an aid worker in her 20s, wanting to settle down, and then settling for a cheating rich man, and then wanting to get back into the aid work, but then when she's there, she's exhausted emotionally by it. It's just, it's a cycle. She doesn't feel like she fits anywhere, and has doubts and fears like anyone would in that situation. In this sense, she feels very realistic. She makes mistakes, she feels awkward, she can't stop dwelling, but she also is forthright, extremely competent at her job, and she yearns to help. On top of the main storyline, the young girl who was working for the aid charity when she was sexually assaulted and claiming it was the man whom I worked with for years, the story being, did he do it? There are also tangents about corporations displacing villagers for mining, what life is like for traveling aid workers, especially women, and the unfixable concept of how to support colonized peoples without impressing other, in this case, Western values or ideals on how they should live. It also calls out the differences between travel to safe places versus the areas where people actually live. There's a great quote about that on this page. It's lonely not to be able to share the world with those who inhabit it. People speak with such authority about the news, other countries, the good guys, the bad. Inside, I laugh a little. You've never been there, I whisper to myself. You don't know. But I've transitioned to Western normalcy with its small talk, orderly queues, loud news stations, and I stay quiet when I need to. Because you can't describe a village to people who think they know the world. Yeah. I very much enjoyed the prose and writing style of the novel. It's both direct and descriptive while wandering into backstories and inner thoughts. It's not stream of consciousness, but it has some elements of that in how the story is rooted in memories and introspection as much as what is happening in the moment and the dialogue. At times elegiac and at times to the point, it's a mesmerizing story that doesn't require a poli-sci degree to understand. If you want a novel that addresses doubt, saviorism, colonialist repercussions, how the upper management of charities are often removed from the people they are trying to help, sorrow, and the complexity of trying to help but not knowing how, you really should check this novel out. It's absolutely fantastic, and I can't thank the publishers enough for sending it to me. So yeah, no gifs in this review because it's too serious, I find, to include silly gifs. But I hope you enjoy this review anyway, and I promise back to lighter topics next week. Thank you.